Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the launch of Remoto Playback. Remoto creates purpose-built remote software tools for post-production. I'm John Conroy, and I head up communications for Remoto. Today, we're going to be introducing Remoto, who we are, what we do, why we do it, and showing off our flagship product, Remoto Playback. To do this, I have some of my brilliant colleagues with me. Sara Griffith, who runs Remoto Customer Success. Jaime Zapata, our Chief Technology Officer. And Greg Stone, Remoto's President and Chief Executive. Let's start with Remoto Playback. What is it? Well, it's a groundbreaking new collaboration tool for post-production. It's the only remote review and approval tool in the marketplace that provides a studio-quality remote experience. It's got high-quality, frame-accurate audio and video, end-to-end security that meets the industry's highest standards, and integrated collaboration tools like video conference and chat. It's also the only tool that puts audio quality first, and it's a software-only solution, so there's no additional hardware needed. Remoto Playback supports 16 channels of discrete audio, and it gives you unconstrained collaboration in immersive formats like Dolby Atmos. And Remoto Playback gives you powerful, fast, and simple scheduling and user management features, which will help streamline the coordination of sessions. Let's dive into the nitty-gritty on Remoto Playback. To do that, I'm going to bring in Sara Griffith, Remoto's head of customer success. I'd love to talk about what Remoto Playback is and how it's different from other software in the marketplace. And I think a good place to start would be at the very beginning and why we created it.
Sure. So back when we were in the throes of the pandemic and people were scrambling to find tools to help them keep being productive, we took a look at what was available. And while the solutions out there were okay, we definitely saw ways that they could improve.
Right. A lot of the tools were put together really quickly or modified to become more versatile in a remote setting.
Exactly. I mean, people just needed to get back to work. Like that was the main issue and the main problem to be solved. But there was no attention paid to actually or accurately trying to recreate a studio experience, that collaboration that happens in person.
Right. There just wasn't time.
Exactly. There wasn't time to do this. So us at Remoto, we sat down and we asked ourselves if we had the time and the resources to build one of these tools from scratch, what would we want it to look like? How would we want it to work? How can we best serve the AV post community and recreate the studio experience? And so Remoto Playback was born.
Nice. Let's talk about Remoto's approach to audio quality because that's one of our key differentiators.
It is. We are audio people. We understand the challenges of the audio community and how underserved it's been as a whole since all these tools initially came out. In the rush to keep people working, products to enable video workflows were the easiest to cobble together quickly, and as a result, audio workflows really suffered. We wanted to create the fullest experience possible and fill the gaps that these other tools created. Remoto Playback handles video very well, but it also provides a more complete overall experience by also providing the best audio experience possible.
What are some common use cases for Remoto Playback? Like, who did we design this for, and why would I use it, and when?
Well, Remoto Playback serves kind of three different workflows. It's three different use cases. We've got the studio to laptop workflow, which is a stereo workflow. That's not new. Other people are doing that. We have the studio to studio workflow, which is a multi-channel workflow, and an internal use case that we're kind of referring to as the artist to artist workflow. People all on the same team working on the same project who don't necessarily need to present their work, but work together and collaborate to review each other's work so that the project can be finished and ready to present in a more formal fashion.
Okay, so what happens with studio to laptop?
Well, this is a stereo workflow. This is the standard for most tools out there, but we've improved this to overall experience by offering excellent audio quality. This workflow allows a director who's actively on set for another project to still actively be involved in the post for the previous project.
Okay, and so how about studio to studio?
Studio to studio opens up the possibility of 5.1 or Atmos collaboration, which nobody else is really doing. This is really exciting because it means a post facility in New York can present a multi-channel project to another part of the team in a different post facility, like in Los Angeles, let's say. And since multi-channel audio is being sent and received, and there's full featured conferencing, this is really the closest you can get to an in-person experience, despite both teams being, across town, across the country, or potentially across the world from each other.
Nice. And then for the artist to artist workflow, I know that internal collaboration between teams, like that is something that's prohibitively expensive to do using tools that are already in the market.
Right. And it's a really accessible way for peer-to-peer review between sound designers or picture editors, etc.
Gotcha.
Also, all of these workflows are really easy to set up and they have great live collaboration features. But another really great aspect of Remoto Playback is the convenience of not needing to move media around, media or hardware around either through SneakerNet or otherwise, since it's a software only solution.
Nice. Let's show off how easy Remoto Playback is to use. So if I'm a producer or a director and I'm on the receiving end of a playback session, what's the experience like?
Well, the process is pretty quick and simple for joining a session. I've actually had Jaime go ahead and set up a session and invite me to it. So I can go ahead and share my screen and just walk you through the steps. Depending on how the session was first set up, Remoto users might need to create an account, but that doesn't take too much time either. A guest will receive an email notification like this one that Jaime's just invited me to let them know they've been invited to a session. And when it's time to join the session, all I need to do is click Join Session. And once I have the app installed, I'm going to click Open Playback to open the app. And since this session has been set up with passwordless access enabled, it's not necessary to log in, and I'll be brought to check my audio and video settings for the exact session I'm trying to join. When you're done, click Ask to Join. And we're going to wait for Jaime to admit me. And we're in. I'm going to turn down my audio for the stream so I don't blast my speakers. Once we're here, guests can collaborate freely through video chat. Audio chat, which you can't hear because I have it muted because of this webinar. We also have text chat down here. We also have this super cool feature called time-coded markers. And what this does is let anyone drop a text marker, which can then be exported into any host.nle or other audio or video editing software, whatever you're using. For the most fully featured guest experience, it's best to use the desktop app that we're looking at here, but we also have a web app with video and audio conferencing. Guests can use this if they're on the go or don't have access to a Mac computer, etc. They can join wherever they are.
And so then how about if I'm showing my work? If I'm an editor or a sound designer or an audio engineer, why would I use Playback instead of another tool?
Remoto's collaboration features, along with HD, Ultra HD, multi-channel streaming, this allows the closest thing to an in-person experience as possible. This is the main reason. We're looking at the guest view currently, but as a host, it looks the same. You do get some extra features like being able to globally or individually mute everyone, or mute the stream, and so forth. The time-coded markers feature is also huge. You can gather everyone's timestamped feedback and be able to import it directly into your DAW, NLE, whatever editing tool you're using, and it'll line up exactly where you need it to be so that you can get to work responding to it without much effort at all. There's no other solution on the market that allows you to do this, which is pretty awesome. And also as a session organizer, scheduling and session management is super duper easy. So let me log into an organizer's account here and show you. This is dashboard view, which is the default view of the app. This is mission control. This is where you access and schedule sessions. And scheduling a session is as easy as any other meeting scheduler out there. And you can also have many sessions scheduled as once, as you can see in the background. Setting up the stream is also super fast. Once you determine how your guests are going to view the stream, You configure your video and audio settings. And since I'm using Pro Tools, I'm going to choose Avid Video Engine as my video source. I'm going to choose Pro Tools Audio Bridge as my audio source. And then the time-coded marker setting, what this does is basically turns on Remoto's MTC receiver so that it can chase timecode from the host. This makes sure that markers are going to sync. We also have some extra watermark settings. These are optional, they're not necessary, but they're available if you would like the extra security. And before I move on, I want to point out this right-hand section here. This is a summary of all the settings that you've set up so far, and it will also let you know if anything is missing. There's a preview button so you can preview your stream too. When you're ready to get started, press start. You're going to check your audio and video settings like we did before as a guest and click Start Session when ready. The session can take up to about a minute to create the necessary pipelines to get everything up and running. So while we're doing that, while we're waiting rather, I'm going to start Pro Tools and make sure it's ready to go. And here we are. If anybody was waiting to be admitted, you could admit your guests. If you forgot to invite someone, you can also invite them directly from the live session. And then start your stream, and off you go. That whole process took me, less than 5 minutes? Of course, I did have Pro Tools up and running and playing back, and it was ready to go, but this gives you an idea of just how quick and easy it is to use.
Amazing. Thank you, Sarah. Remoto's president and chief executive, Greg Stone, is here to give us some perspective on who Remoto is as a company and why we do what we do. Greg, you have a really interesting background, and I think that gives you a unique perspective on everything we do.
Yeah, thanks, John. We are a software company that's born of the specific knowledge of what our customers want because I have companies that are going to be customers of Remoto. There's a company that I operate that handles post-production audio for high-end episodic work and feature films. A different company that handles foreign language dubbing, or localization as it's called, for titles, both dubbing into English and into other languages. And so we've lived a long time, my companies have, with the realities of the push towards more digital workflows and more remote workflows. Even before we started Remoto, we felt the pain that our customers feel now.
Mm. Yeah, I've always pictured you sitting at the center of a Venn diagram with the workflows that Remoto software enables. You're right in the middle of it. I think one of the first questions that somebody in post-production is going to ask is why? Why release a review and approve tool? Because it's such a crowded marketplace. Why are we starting with that?
Yeah, there are two things that I believe Remoto stands on, two pillars that we stand on that we don't see anyone else in the market standing on. And that's number one, the fact that we are so deeply knowledgeable about audio. I mentioned the post-production companies that I run. We know audio, we know sync, we know the very particular challenges that bedevil a lot of technologies that attempt to digitize and synchronize audio. And so there are companies out there that know post broadly, but audio is a very particular ecosystem. And so I feel very comfortable about the fact that we're coming to the market as the first company that will allow a remote Atmos playback, sending Atmos through a stream. There's something, I think, very compelling about that. The second thing is, being a software-only solution, we are the only company out there that's offering a per-use or pay-as-you-go model for consumption. And so even if you know that there's another tool out there that does something similar to what we do, maybe only in stereo, maybe it crashes more often than our product does, but regardless, it works. But still, you're signing up for a contract for that. And the nature of post-production, I know from our own experience providing these services to clients, you get an order and you get busy for 6 weeks, and then maybe you're not busy for 3 weeks, and then you get another order. So when you're forced to pay for a product that has an annual subscription, you're paying for a product that you're not using for part of the year, and nothing chafes more than that
Yeah.
to a small business. So um, uh, in that pricing model, I feel like we have a really unique go-to-market or an offering that speaks to customers in a distinctive way from what's already out there.
I think it's important to just put a hard underline under the pricing models that you're talking about, because in some ways, I think that our pricing models and our business model is just as revolutionary as the software that we're talking about. Because, yes, we offer the subscription models that everybody, a lot of companies are used to, but yeah, that offering a single use for review and approve is, I think, as far as I know, is unheard of in this space. Offering custom bespoke options as well, if that is what a customer needs, being able to get that. Um, that approach to me seems to capture a bigger conversation that I haven't seen happening in the industry, which is addressing the fact that one size fits all pricing does not work for global post production.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you talk about the price points that folks in other continents are used to, the fact that it would be just really unheard of for them to commit to, let's say, a 12-month contract, let alone a 1-month contract at the current pricing. Right, that post-production's done globally. Remote tools are inherently global. So when we built the company, it was obvious that it had to accommodate not only North American standards that we're used to, but global standards. And so with that comes lower price points on a single-use basis that enables folks to use the tool in unique ways that they might never have used before. And we talk about democratization a lot in our halls. And there's something in particular that I'm excited about with the long-term vision for Remoto, which is, we are 5 years or whatever it is into the post-pandemic environment. We haven't really grappled with the fact that this is the new norm, not just to get through today or this month, but people are building their careers through remote work. And so that young-ish or truly young post-production person needs to come up and learn their craft, working over the shoulder with colleagues who might not be literally over their shoulder, right? Not in the same
Mhm.
studio. So to have a tool that allows you to jump on and jump off quickly, low cost, to work through something in a synchronous way, that is part and parcel of what's going to make remote workflow viable for the industry as people develop skills and need little bits of coaching here and there. That we're very excited about that peer-to-peer part. The enterprise part is, it, as you said, is sort of a given. We have those tools. We have to offer metered use. We have enterprise tools so that you can onboard or offboard dozens of users at a time. That you can schedule session. You can have an operations person who just handles scheduling versus a technical person who's running a session. Those are sort of, what is that called? Penny ante stakes or table
Mhm.
stakes that we had to have. But no, it's in that other part of the business, the customization, the bespoke. And lastly, I just want to append onto this. You can't have a per use tool unless it's easy to use, unless it's quick, right? Because if
Right.
you say, oh, you want to use it one time, no problem. We'll schedule a sales engineer to meet with you in 4 days, and that person will be assigned to you for the next month as you learn. That's completely incongruous with what we're doing, right? Everything about using Remoto is intuitive. There are resources online, videos online, a help center. Yes, you can also call us for support. But if you need a session to start in 10 minutes, you download the application. It needs to be able to be usable in 10 minutes. And that's the way we've engineered it. So the whole ethos of the company is around that sort of democratized use in lots of different places.
I think one of the things that I find so exciting about Remoto and our approach is the fact that we focus so much on unaddressed and underserved markets and creatives. And another thing that I really love is we seem to have a philosophy to our engineering and to our software and our product development, which is do it the right way first, which is pretty exciting. And I could see a lot of potential for that in directions beyond the kind of collaboration we're doing with Remoto Playback.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, doing it the right way for doing it the right way takes time. It takes resources.
Yeah.
We are not the first to market with the solution because we've taken our time to make sure it's done right. But we didn't just take our time because we want Remoto Playback to be a great product. I'm convinced that it is a great product and we did a good job, but we also have been busy building a foundation, a platform, an infrastructure, a set of technologies that Playback lives off of, or is almost like the foundation of a building, and Playback is the first floor. There are other products to come. In fact, we hope before the end of this calendar year, but if not before the end of this calendar year, then certainly by the first quarter of next year, to have a product that's focused on an ADR and voiceover use case. There are others that follow that, right? As I talked about the whole vision of a young person going through post, they're not just doing review sessions, right? They're collaborating, and there's lots of different uh, workflows in post that we are building tools that allow for that remote use to be as close to the studio environment as possible.
Exciting stuff. Thanks, Greg. And now I would love to have a conversation about Remoto's approach to security. So to do that, let me bring in Remoto's Chief Technology Officer, Jaime Zapata. So security and compliance are obviously essential for any media company or any post-production project. What is it about Remoto's approach to security that stands out?
Hi, John, and hello, everyone. I think at Remoto, we understood since the beginning of this project that we needed to raise the bar in terms of the digital security implementation and at least include the highest standards of the MPA compliance, which is the framework that most of the companies have adopted at the moment, from the major studios to advertising agencies, going to the game development community as well. So in that sense, for us, was a challenge to keep the user experience as untouchable as we can. Like when you come to the studio, you just want to walk into the room, go into the mixing room and review that with your team without having to, be worried about what is happening behind the scenes. So remote is that one, is the silent guardian in the background, just taking care of the digital security without you knowing that it's happening at the same time. And so the IT teams, they don't have to be too worried about what is happening, or in general, worry about what is happening with the content and who's consuming the same.
Gotcha. And we have a security white paper on our website that goes into a ton of additional detail. And then also, Jaime, we do make it available to customers. So if we have a customer that comes in the door and their IT department needs to have a meeting with us to check the boxes or to do any additional due diligence, we can make you and your team and or specifically your security team available for that kind of discussion, right?
Of course, all the conversations and all the questions, we are here and available for answer to each team. I encourage everyone to download the white paper and get into the technicality of how we have architected this solution and what is our primary goal and approach behind the digital security.
We've talked about Remoto's expertise with audio workflows. That's one of our key differentiators in the marketplace. Can we talk more about that from a technology standpoint?
Sure. We are in a mixing stage, and this is our reality. We are all the time handling audio and video in high quality, so there's no exchange between them. What we have done is covering all the use cases in this space, from sound design to anything else that we can cover and be focused on delivering high quality audio and video at the same time. So our use case range is very broad.
What else do you think is part of the tech stack that makes Remoto unique?
I think there was a belief that hardware was always related to quality, that it will always translate in that way. And Remoto took that concept, and for us, the challenge was deliver the best quality in a software-based product. And we did it. We spent a lot of time identifying what are the best protocols, the best encoding processes, and the best solution from the UX side, so we can engage the clientele to consume, enjoying a session as easily as they can, and enjoy from the content that they are working steady in that sense.
Excellent. So Remoto software is equal to what people think is only possible with hardware.
Correct.
Excellent. Well, that wraps up our intro to Remoto Playback. And if you want to learn more, you can go to remotopro.io. And while you're there, you can sign up for a free test drive of Remoto Playback. This will give you 3 free 1-hour review sessions, HD sessions, and give it a shot. We are sure that Remoto Playback is going to become your favorite software tool because that's what we designed it to be. So thank you for joining us today, and we will see you again really soon.